U.S. companies have been hit by a massive cyber heist. Sensitive information from nearly 80 million people has been stolen. The Department of Justice thinks it knows who done it. Sophisticated hackers operating in China. Maybe the worst is yet to come. Welcome back to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell. The United States has just indicted 2 Chinese hackers and charged them with cybercrimes. Very serious cybercrimes. The first alleged cyber criminal, Fujie Wang, aka Dennis Wang. Here's his wanted poster. The second accused hacker, Zhou Zhihong, aka Daniel Jack. That's right, Daniel Jack. Here's his wanted poster. Bringing him in is going to be hard. There are a lot of lookalikes out there. In an announcement last week, the Department of Justice said Dennis Wang and Daniel Jack are members of an extremely sophisticated hacking group operating in China and targeting large businesses in the United States. The DOJ indicted the duo for a range of cybercrimes that include intentional damage to a protected computer and conspiracy to commit wire fraud. The biggest of their several cyber intrusions dates back to 2015. The target was a company called Anthem. It's one of the biggest health insurance companies in the U.S. Now you might think, that's just karmic justice for those big insurance companies ripping off Americans. But the thing is, the hackers weren't after lower insurance premiums. They were after the sensitive personal data of nearly 80 million customers, including maybe yours. The indictment says the hackers broke into Anthem's computer networks using a bag of sophisticated tricks. First, spear phishing, where they targeted Anthem employees with emails containing malicious hyperlinks. Click the link and it automatically downloads malware, where they installed malicious software that runs automatically and installs a backdoor, which is a tool that lets hackers control a computer remotely. It's like when you get an email in weird English promising you an all-expenses-paid cruise in Bahama if you could please just click on this link. And then they steal everything. According to the indictment, Wang and Jack collected files and other information from the compromised computers and then stole, i.e. exfiltrated, this data of interest using encrypted archives and computers under their control. And where did all that stolen data get exfiltrated to? China. And what did all that stolen data contain? Personally identifiable information of some 78.8 million people, including names, addresses, income data, and social security numbers. So don't be surprised if you start getting personalized spam from a guy selling knockoff whiskey. But more seriously, if the hackers decide to sell the data, this could potentially be a huge opportunity for identity theft. According to the Social Security Administration, identity thieves can use your social security number to get credit in your name, and then they use the credit cards and don't pay the bills. Using credit cards and not paying the bills? They were even ripping off a traditional American pastime. So it's not just virtual spam pinging your mailbox. It could mean very real, very physical debt collectors beating down your door. Although an Anthem spokeswoman was quick to tell the Wall Street Journal that there is no evidence that information obtained has resulted in fraud. Does that mean the hackers stole data on nearly 80 million people for no reason? Or just not for fraud? Because there's also blackmail. Anyway, just how bad is the data breach involving nearly 80 million people? Well, according to Assistant Attorney General Brian Benczkowski, the brazen China-based computer hacking group committed one of the worst data breaches in history. One of the worst data breaches in history? Oh man, you hackers are in big trouble. Just kidding, they're in China. But don't worry, the Chinese authorities will soon find their secret hideout, so they can send them bottles of champagne and a little note card thanking them for their contribution to win-win mutual cooperation with the United States. Now, if this story sounds familiar, it is. I'd like to call it Hacking 2 Electric Boogaloo. Back in December, U.S. prosecutors announced cybercrimes charges against 2 other Chinese hackers.
Today, the Department of Justice is announcing a criminal indictment of 2 hackers associated with the Chinese government. The charges include conspiracy to commit computer intrusions against dozens of companies in the United States and around the world.
And FBI Director Christopher Wray said at the time that cyber threats from hackers with links to the Chinese regime are as bad as it gets.
As evidenced by this investigation, the threats we face have never been more severe or more pervasive or more potentially damaging to our national security. And no country poses a broader, more severe, long-term threat to our nation's economy and cyber infrastructure than China.
What's that, Shelley? The U.S. government also indicted Chinese hackers back in November 2018. Okay, so this is more like Hackers Part 3, Rise of the Machines. What? They also indicted Chinese hackers and spies in October 2018. Okay, so this is more like Kingdom of the Crystal Hack, the fourth sequel that no one asked for. What's that, Shelley? The U.S. government also indicted Chinese hackers in 2017 and all the way back in 2014 when they indicted hackers who were actually members of the People's Liberation Army? Yeah, forget it, I'm done with this joke. Only the Star Wars movies have enough sequels to deal with this. And believe me, I'm ready for that series to be done. I guess this is why the U.S. government has said there's a new hacking spree coming from China. But while these indictments might show that the U.S. government means business, they also show that they're not actually good at stopping the hacking. So my advice is, if you get an email in broken English with an attachment claiming to offer you an all-expenses-paid cruise, don't click on it. So what do you think about the cyber crimes indictment against Wang and Daniel Jack? Leave your comments below. And while you're here, it's time for me to answer another question from a fan who supports China Uncensored with $1 or more per episode through the crowdfunding website Patreon. Colin Lee Bradford asks, "You seem desperate for questions sometimes. What is your favorite type of question?" My favorite questions are ones where viewers ask me about my favorite type of thing. Thanks for your question, Colin. And if you want your question answered on the show, go to patreon.com/China Uncensored and support us with $1 or more per episode. Then you can ask me about my favorite brand of toothpaste or favorite style elevator button. The important questions get answered right here. Thanks for watching China Uncensored. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.